All right, strap yourselves in because today we are diving deep into the Sabbat Worlds Crusade.
Oh, yeah.
This is a war so brutal it makes, I don't know, the Siege of Rax look like a schoolyard scuffle.
Makes the trenches of World War I look like a vacation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to be taking a look at excerpts from Dan Abnett's Blood Pact,
Excellent book.
and we're really going to try to understand what life is like for Colonel Commissar Gaunt and his ghosts.
The Tanith first and only?
The Tanith first and only, fighting for the Imperium against, well, everything.
It's a fascinating book, and it really gets into the, I don't know, like the nitty-gritty
Yeah.
of what it's like to be a soldier.
The human cost.
In the Imperial Guard.
Yeah, the human cost.
In this seemingly endless war.
Yeah, and you think about it, right? We've got the Imperium with all of its might and all of its resources facing, in this case, Archon Gar, who's dug in.
He had dug in deep in the Sabbat world.
Going to Sabbat Worlds, and this is like his lieutenant.
One of his lieutenants, Anaquan Arsec.
Yeah, Anaquan Arsec. This guy is holding off like 4 Imperial armies.
And he's been doing it for years.
For years. You'd think with millions and millions of soldiers, they would have just rolled over this guy.
Well, that's the thing. One of the big takeaways from this source is that it's this bloody stalemate.
Yeah.
They're just grinding away at each other.
It's a war of attrition.
It is, and you really start to see how even the vast armies of the Imperium can get bogged down when you're facing an enemy like this.
And you see that really come home to roost on a planet like Balhout.
Oh, Balhout's a fascinating place.
Which has essentially become a processing center for the dead.
Right. I mean, think about it.
It's just death.
The amount of death the Imperium has to deal with in this war is astronomical.
Entire worlds turned into cemeteries.
It's grim.
Mausoleums, mass graves.
Endless fields of identical markers.
And for the poor souls who can't even get a marker.
Right. Too mangled or just completely obliterated.
Their ashes are just...
They get shipped off.
Shipped off and just scattered.
Scattered to the wind.
You know, no one knows their name. No one knows what they did.
It really shows how the Imperium views death.
It's a bureaucracy, even in death.
Absolutely. I mean, even in death, there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
You know, officers, they get their nice mausoleums because of their rank.
Right. And then you've got the rank and file who at least get a marker, but then everyone else is just forgotten.
It's a sobering thought.
And then into this mess steps E.F. Montvelt.
Oh, Montvelt.
An administrator on Balhout.
He's a fascinating character.
Yeah, and he represents...
Look at the heart of the Imperial bureaucracy.
Yeah, rules, regulations, he's gotta have.
You get the feeling that his meticulousness is almost a coping mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a way to impose order on this world.
Yeah.
That's just consumed by death and chaos.
Well, he needs order because his world gets flipped upside down when a ship called the Solace docks.
Ah, the Solace after a 2-year absence.
Yeah, 2 years. That's a long time.
And this ship
has some very interesting things on its manifest.
Like the shipmaster being listed as Jonas. Which, if you know anything about Imperial shipping manifests, that's basically code for...
Something's wrong.
Yeah, something's fishy here.
And then...
As if it couldn't get any weirder.
This veiled woman shows up.
Lady Eyl.
Lady Eyl, and she is...
She's intense.
Intense.
She claims she murdered the shipmaster.
Yeah, just straight up.
And here's the thing. She claims she can't lie?
And her brother's like...
Oh, she's just grief-stricken.
Yeah, she's not right in the head.
But there's something about her, like even when she's saying the most disturbing things...
It's compelling.
It's compelling. It's like you can't help but believe her.
Yeah, you get the feeling.
There's something more going on there.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
And amidst all of this, you have Gaunt and the ghosts.
2 years they've been on Balhout.
2 years stuck, itching to get back into the fight.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are soldiers.
Through and through.
They've seen more combat than most people could even imagine.
And they're stuck on garrison duty.
They're going stir crazy. Well, you can see it in the excerpts, right? They're making these jokes.
Oh, yeah, dark humor.
Dark humor, but you can feel this tension.
It's bubbling under the surface.
Yeah, like a pressure cooker about to blow.
They need action.
Yeah, they need a war.
And Gaunt especially.
Oh, yeah.
You can practically feel him vibrating with this pent-up energy.
He's like a caged animal.
He needs to fight.
Yeah, and it's not just about fighting. It's like he's trying to outrun something.
The ghosts of past battles.
Yeah, or maybe just the quiet.
The quiet is probably the worst for someone like Gaunt.
When all the memories come flooding back.
Exactly. Because when you're in the thick of it, you don't have time to think.
You just react.
But when it goes quiet, that's when the trauma can hit you.
Yeah, and we see that even with some of the other characters, right? Like Captain Dower.
Oh, down.
A Tanith officer.
Forced into this high-stakes gamble.
By a corrupt superior.
Yeah, corruption runs deep in the Imperium.
And Dower, poor Dower, is caught in the middle.
Every card he draws just digs him in deeper. It's like he's playing against a stacked jack.
And the worst part is he knows the commissariat is watching.
Yeah, they're always watching.
Always watching, just waiting for him to slip up.
You can feel the tension building.
You know something bad is going to happen.
And it does.
It explodes.
The Solstice's true cargo is revealed.
Blood Pact.
Blood Pact. Elite Chaos Warriors.
The worst of the worst.
Smuggled onto Balhaud. And they launched this attack.
On Section.
On Section, the Commissariat headquarters.
It's brutal.
We just don't care.
They're not just soldiers, they're fanatics.
Driven by something.
Driven by chaos. By this ideology that revels in suffering.
And amidst the chaos,
they capture this prisoner.
Yeah, this mysterious Idagar.
Covered in scars.
He's seen some things.
And he refuses to speak to anyone but Gaunt.
Yeah. Says he has vital intelligence.
You're immediately like, who is this guy?
Right. What's he know?
And why Gaunt?
Why Gaunt?
What's the connection?
There's layers here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This isn't just a simple prisoner capture.
Something bigger's going on.
And then just to add to the mix, you have Tonacridid.
Crid, yeah, the Tanith scout.
She's got this.
She's got a unique way of motivating herself.
Yeah, long distance running.
And pastries. She loves her pastries.
She's got this whole reward system set up.
I mean, it's kind of endearing.
It is. It's like this little bit of normalcy.
In this crazy world.
In this insane war.
She's clinging to something familiar.
And meanwhile,
the Blood Pact.
Led by Eyl.
They're not just sitting around.
No, they're gathering their forces.
They're performing these rituals.
Yeah, unsettling rituals.
Blood magic.
You get the sense something bad is coming.
They're up to something.
And then the tension just ramps up even further.
When Gaunt finally interviews the prisoner.
With an Inquisitor present.
Inquisitor Lord Hector Rex Mercure.
The Inquisition.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
They don't just show up for anything.
Their presence tells you that this prisoner
knows something.
Knows something big.
Something that could affect
the entire Sabbat Worlds Crusade.
And just when it seems like we're going to get some answers.
The Blood Pact attacks.
They're trying to get their prisoner back.
They are not messing around.
They are risking everything.
Which means
this Edogar is vital to them.
But Rawne.
Oh, Rawne.
Gaunt's right-hand man.
He's a force of nature.
He manages to orchestrate a prison break.
Frees his fellow Tanith.
And even grabs some weapons.
From Zolanders.
That shady gambling den.
It's pure chaos.
But Rawne, he gets it done.
He always gets it done.
So now we've got Gaunt on the run.
With the prisoner.
The Blood Pact on their tail.
And Rawne is out there.
Causing havoc.
It's a powder keg.
And Crad.
Crade.
She gets caught in the middle of it all.
Her instincts kick in.
She's more than just a scout.
She's a survivor.
And back at Arlen Fortress.
Commissar, hark.
He gets this message.
Something's wrong.
And he puts the entire regiment on high alert.
He can feel it.
Something bad is happening.
But he doesn't know what. And then we meet Dr. Colding.
Colding?
We're recluse, a surgeon.
And he gets a visitor.
LL Damogar.
Leader of the Blood Pact.
What is he doing there?
What's his game?
We're left hanging.
And a cliffhanger.
We need answers. Okay, so Eyl, the head honcho of the Blood Pact, rocks up at the surgeon's place, Dr. Colding.
Right.
And here we go. The source drops the real reason these Chaos Boys are on Balhoped.
Yeah, it's not just random mayhem.
Not just a joyride.
They're after Mabon.
Mabon, the Edogar.
The prisoner.
The prisoner.
And it turns out
this guy.
He's not just some grunt they snatched.
It got intel.
Big intel.
The source dances around it a bit.
Yeah, it's vague, but you get the feeling.
Oh, yeah.
That what Mabon knows could turn the whole Sabbat Worlds Crusade on its head.
Like, this is game changer stuff.
Absolutely. We're talking potential strategic advantage, maybe even secrets about chaos operations. Who knows?
So that explains why the Blood Pact are losing their minds trying to get him back.
Yeah, they're risking everything.
Yeah, makes you wonder what the Imperium's doing with this kind of asset.
Well, they got their hands full, that's for sure.
Speaking of hands full, remember Mags?
Mags, Gaunt's driver.
Scout Trooper Mags, this guy's been through it.
He's a mess.
Mentally, physically.
The source mentions this weird illness.
Like almost a warp sickness.
Yeah, like the immaterium is leaking into his soul.
This war, it doesn't let go even if you make it off the battlefield.
No, it follows you.
And then there's Zol.
Old Zwales.
The old Ayatani.
Yeah.
Putting off his medical checkup.
He knew.
He knew.
He knew something was wrong.
And it's bad.
Yeah, the Medikey confirms it.
Terminal.
It's rough, especially seeing how Gaunt reacts.
Yeah, for a guy who keeps everything bottled up,
You can tell he's devastated.
losing his it's like losing a part of himself.
And then on top of all this, Gaunt figures out that Inquisitor Rawne
The guy sent to help.
is working against them.
A plant.
A chaos plan.
That's wild.
It makes you paranoid.
Who can you trust?
If an Inquisitor can fall to chaos, anyone can.
So now Gaunt's in this impossible situation.
He's got a dying friend, a prisoner everyone wants dead.
And he can't even trust the Inquisition.
She's on his own.
But Gaunt...
He's not one to just give up.
No, he's got a plan.
He's going to use everything he knows about Balhall.
The history, the layout...
And the myth of his own death.
To set a trap.
That's right. He's going to lure Rawne and the Blood Pact.
Right into his web.
It's a bold plan.
And what's this about Gaunt's new eyes?
The source is cryptic about it.
Yeah, it mentions like precognition, glimpses of the future.
It's definitely more than just enhanced vision.
Like he's tapped into something.
Something strange, maybe even warp-related.
Okay, so while Gaunt's playing this 4D chess game...
Right, setting up his trap.
Rawne and the ghosts haven't been twiddling their thumbs.
No, they're busy.
They reach out to Elodie?
They're contacted Zollenders.
That gambling den. A real den of iniquity.
But it seems like Elodie owes them a favor.
Well, and the Blood Pact's on her tail now, too.
Yeah. For helping the ghosts.
Talk about out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, she's caught between a rock and a hard place.
But Rawne...
Always thinking.
He manages to get a coded message.
To Hart.
Back at Arlem Fortress.
If only they knew what they were walking into.
It's like a chain reaction.
One thing leads to another.
And now everything's coming to a head.
At the Tower of the Plutocrat.
Wait, isn't that where Gaunt supposedly died?
Years ago.
Yeah, the legendary last stand with the Hyrcan Regiment.
It's a shrine now.
People come to pay their respects to the fallen Gaunt.
And Gaunt's using that myth.
To his advantage.
Yeah, he's hiding in plain sight.
Blending in with the pilgrims.
He's a ghost haunting his own memorial.
That's brilliant.
But Rhyme's closing in.
He's bringing the hammer down?
Inquisitorial forces.
And those Tanith scouts Herc sent?
They're all converging on the tower.
It's a tinderbox?
And Rhyme's the match.
He figures out he's been played.
All hell breaks loose.
The tower erupts.
Gunfire, screams, chaos.
Pilgrims caught in the crossfire.
It's a nightmare.
And Gaunt.
He reveals his new eyes.
He can see the future.
He knows what Rhyme's going to do before he does it.
It's like he's playing a different game now.
He's not just reacting, he's dictating the flow of the battle.
Leading his squad through secret passages.
Using his knowledge of the tower to stay one step ahead.
It's tense.
Every move could be their last.
And then Rawne, he just drops the act.
Declares himself for chaos.
It's chilling.
The confirmation of everything Gaunt suspected.
And they clash.
Gaunt and Rawne.
A duel to the death.
But Rawne, fueled by chaos.
He's like a demon.
Powerful, fast, ruthless.
Gaunt's barely holding on.
But he manages to lure Rawne into a trap.
Using the tower itself.
The architecture, the hidden chambers.
It all becomes a weapon.
And the final showdown.
In Gaunt's own memorial chapel.
The place built to honor his supposed sacrifice.
It's almost poetic.
Yeah, it's like he's reclaiming his own narrative.
Fighting to ensure that chaos doesn't get to write his story. But Rawne's strong.
He's pushing Gaunt to the limit.
And just when it seems like it's over...
The Tanith scouts.
They arrive.
Guns blazing.
They charge into the chapel, turning the tide.
It's a close call.
Rawne's defeated, the Blood Pact retreats.
But the victory feels hollow.
Zweil's dying. Gaunt's future is uncertain.
That happens.
What does this mean for the ghosts?
We're left with so many questions.
It's like the calm after the storm, right? The battle is over, the bad guys are gone, but there's this lingering sense of...
Unease.
Yeah, unease.
Like something's not right.
Well, Zweil's dying.
Yeah, that hangs over everything.
Like a shroud.
Gaunt, he won the battle, but...
But at what cost?
Exactly.
His oldest friend is slipping away.
And his own actions, defying the Inquisition.
Going rogue.
That's going to have consequences.
Yeah, he's definitely on thin ice with the Imperium.
They don't take kindly to insubordination.
Especially from a Colonel Commissar.
And the ghosts themselves.
They've been through the meat grinder again.
They've seen friends die, their faith in the Imperium tested.
And their commander, Gaunt. He's changed.
He's got these visions now, this connection to the future.
That's unsettling.
Yeah. How do you follow a man who can see what's going to happen?
Blind faith, I guess.
But there's got to be some doubt creeping in.
Cracks in the foundation.
And then there's Mabon.
The Etagar.
The prisoner.
What happens to him?
He's got this vital intel.
Could change the course of the war.
But who can Gaunt trust after Rhyme's betrayal?
He can't even trust the Inquisition.
So what does he do with Mabon?
It's a tough call.
He's got this weapon, this knowledge.
But using it could backfire.
It's like a poisoned chalice.
Yeah, and the source, it ends there.
Leaves us hanging.
What happens next?
We don't know.
But we can speculate.
Well, Mabon's intel, whatever it is.
That's got to be the driving force.
Gaunt's not going to just sit on that.
He's going to use it.
But he's got to be careful.
Every move he makes now
Is under scrutiny.
the Inquisition's watching.
I want to know what he's up to.
He's become a wild card.
A dangerous one.
And that's what makes Gaunt's story so compelling.
He's not just a soldier of defiance, of loyalty, of humanity struggling against the darkness.
We started this deep dive wanting to understand the Sabbat world's crusade.
Through the eyes of Gaunt's ghosts.
But it's become so much more than that.
It's a story about the cost of war.
The personal costs?
The corruption that eats away at the Imperium from the inside.
And the question of how to stay true to yourself.
When everything around you is falling apart.
Can a good man stay good in the face of chaos?
That's the question the source leaves us with.
And I think it's a question we all have to ask ourselves.
In our own lives.
Even if we're not fighting demons and heretics.
There's always a struggle.
To hold on to what's right.
To stay true to our values.
And I think that's why Gaunt's ghosts resonate with so many people.
They're fighting for something.
Even when the odds are stacked against them.
They never give up.
And that's a message we can all take to heart.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Blood Pact.
And the world of Gaunt's ghosts.
We hope you found it enlightening.
And thought-provoking.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Because even in the grim, dark future,
there's still hope.
And there are still heroes.
Fighting the good fight.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.